There we go. Back in business. You're looking very puzzled, Amanda. What is your puzzling face?
All good, all good.
All good. All right. Okay. Hi, everybody. We're back. I'm back. Back live. Winter Institute was amazing. So many good books coming out. I'll talk about a couple that are because I haven't gotten a chance to read anything that's or even know what's um, coming out this week. I've barely gotten caught up with my emails this week. So I don't even know. Is it Monday? What day is it? Must be Monday. It's tea time. Um, so most of our sales reps are either at sales conference or stuff's going on. So you got the Warwickians today. So I think Gabe and Amanda have some good stuff for y'all. Amanda, I want to change your name. So many books are coming out in March. You are so right, Beth. Um, and so many things to look forward to. So, what else? Yeah, I know we love our weekends. Trying to think of we've got like events happening tonight. We've got an event tonight, tomorrow night, Wednesday night, Thursday night. Lots of stuff happening at the store. We got some virtual stuff going on. Um, another crazy week. Last week was crazy. We were involved in the writer symposium. So we had Jessamine Ward on Wednesday night of last week, Sandra Cisneros, which was amazing on Thursday, and then Mitch Albom on Friday. So it was quite the week last week. So I'm sure you missed me at the store, Gabe. I know. Hold back. I'm sure it was
Trying to remember. Did I miss you?
I miss you.
Were you gone? Were you gone?
Was I gone? Was I gone? Oh, come on. You know it's a
Oh,
lot
right, because
quieter.
you were not here last Monday. We saw you on the video. You were
Yeah,
gone this week.
you were gone. I
I'm only
was
in the
gone.
store 2 days a week, so.
Okay. Um, the book conference that's in New Orleans, I think, is that BoucherCon that's happening in I don't know if it's
Ooh,
or
I'm
is it
headed
just a
here.
book festival. But I don't think any of our booksellers are going to that. If it's BoucherCon, I think James is going to BoucherCon, but that's usually in the summer, I think. So yeah, no, nobody's going to that one, Don. Um, so
Oh, that's
sounds
September, it looks like.
yeah, I would
Wow.
any excuse to go to New Orleans would be a fun thing to do. In fact, the
Heck
Winter
yeah.
Institute was 1 year was in New Orleans. I think I told you guys about that one time. It was a lot of fun.
Um, that must have been epic.
It was pretty fun. Some very good food, that is for sure. So I'm having some issues with my hair again today, but
Oh, but Dawn's talking about a different New Orleans book festival.
yeah, there's something that's put on by the Atlantic, it looks like. So I'm not sure what that
Oh,
is.
that sounds
So
intriguing.
yeah. Kim, I'm not sure who recommended The Way by Carrie Groner.
I think that's an
Um,
Andrea book.
okay. All right. So, oh, wasn't the garden something else? We have some booksellers at the store who've read it, and if you like a very succinct ending and know what's happening, it's probably not the book for you. But if you like a little open-ended, like what the heck's happening here, might be a book for you. So with that, Gabe, you could start us off, and then I'll go to Amanda, and then I'll talk about some future stuff after you two are all done.
All right, so I will share with you my screen. Uh, and a basketball book.
There you go.
So if there's a tiny book out there or a basketball book out there, don't worry, you're not gonna miss it. I'm on it. Been some really good basketball books. I mentioned it last week. I mentioned the slam dunk book last week, Jules, since you weren't here,
I missed it.
um, which is really well done. And I was going to talk about this one, which came out last week as well, Legends and Souls, by Sonny Vaccaro. So if you don't know who Sonny Vaccaro is, someone in your family will, if they're basketball fans, especially college basketball fans. Sonny Vaccaro is this uh, really gregarious, outspoken, loud. Uh, I, I don't want to call him a pitchman, but he is a guy that creates hype wherever he goes, and he kind of somehow got involved with high school basketball and AAU basketball and college basketball, and suddenly he gets a job with Nike and he brokers these deals with athletes. And next thing you know, they signed Michael Jordan to like, I don't know what it was back then. It was a lot of money, 68 million or something. They put the whole budget behind Michael Jordan. And it was a stroke of genius. But he also was the guy responsible for the Dapper Dan tournament, which is, I think, since been renamed and rechristened and reprogrammed. It might be a completely different game anymore, but that was the top, whatever it was, 20 high school basketball prospects would gather at a tournament, and it'd be basically all the colleges show up, and these kids get, prime time coverage, and basically a showcase for the college scouts that are out there looking for talent, and some pros. I mean, so he was. Uh, then he went to work for Adidas. Then there was some RICO charges because of some possible corporate espionage, all kind of lightweight stuff, but he's still kind of like, you think
Is
Sonny
that
might
really
have.
lightweight?
I mean, if I RICO charges on anybody these days, come on, you see how they do it. So he's one of these guys who you're just like, he was this. You look at him and the way he is, you're like, there's something up with Sonny. He might be a little. But I don't think like in a really bad kind of way. I think he's one of these guys who kind of did things on a handshake initially, and then just got in kind of over his head. But he's worth a lot of money now. He's done a good job taking care of himself. And there's been some drama. Absolutely, there's been some drama. But this is the story of his coming up in the basketball world and his impact. So whether you love him or hate him, he has had an impact on the game.
Yeah, I love it. I love RICO too. They got RICO charges on anybody these days. I don't think any white collar crime matters anymore these days, though. Just saying.
I mean, white collar crime's always been, it's better to steal $1 million from your company than, a bag of chips at the store.
Right, 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 right. Oh, don't get me started. Anyways, we got some good chat going on here about Finley Donovan. Everybody loves Finley Donovan, so everybody's looking forward to the next one coming out. So that'll be super fun. And Darcy, I think Nancy was reading Red Dog Farm 2 and loving it. And we have a virtual event with him next Wednesday. So make sure that you all are signed up for that because that will be a great conversation because I have a feeling he's going to be amazing to listen to. And if, what is it? The Memoirs of Stockholm Sven. So hopefully we'll be talking his conversation partner will talk with him about that too. So there you go. Amanda, you got something to tell us?
Yes. And I'm surprised if I talked about this already. I don't think I did, but I've been talking about it to a few different people. So we are actually hosting an event with this author, and that's why I'm talking about it a little bit early. This is My Head for a Tree, the extraordinary story of the Bishnoi, guardians of nature. And
Who's the author?
so Martin Goodman,
Oh yeah.
he is a he is an environmental writer. I think his most recent book is called Pliant Earth, about a true legal battle on behalf of the earth. And so we're hosting him on April 17th. I think the book comes out April, like a week before that. So this is good for readers who enjoy Barry Lopez, the author of Wolf and Man, among many other nature writing books, stellar nature writing. And this is the story of these people in India who are some of the first hardcore conservationists, um, and also followers of a religion that is centered around nature conservation. They the story of these peoples in the 1700s, they were basically they were followers of this religion that were set forward by a guru in the 15th century, and they rescue and care for animals, save endangered species, uh, led reforestation efforts, or these are all things they do now, but they have done since they began. And in the 1700s, when the Maharaja of the area sent troops to chop down a forest for his reasons, the villagers there all hugged the trees to protect them and had their heads chopped off for this. So they were so strong in their beliefs that that's like their origin, their big origin story. And they're still there today. And Martin Goodman was invited to learn their story and write about them. And so it's this journey through the religion and the beliefs of these people in all the places they are today, in temples and animal sanctuaries and farms. Um, Basically like the original eco warriors. And there are some awesome review quotes on this book. One from musician Brian Eno. This sensitive and engaging book is about climate collapse and about an extraordinary group of people whose intimate connection to the natural world offers us a way of understanding and confronting our present crisis. It's full of surprises. I hope everyone reads it. And Andrea Wolf, the author of The Invention of Nature, says this book is important, inspirational, and humbling, essential reading for all those who care about our magnificent planet. So if you're interested in this book, My Head for a Tree, Martin Goodman will be in the store on April 17th.
Again, one of those situations where I didn't really realize what I was booking. I mean, it was like I just briefly was like, "Oh yeah, this sounds good. Oh my God, sounds amazing." I'm so glad he's coming to the store. Wow,
Yeah.
pretty incredible.
hmm And it's from this book is from, I forgot to mention, Greystone Press, which is a really awesome Canadian publisher that specializes in um books about nature and science, social issues, and they're all about stewardship to the environment. So they're just super cool, and I recommend. They do a lot of great kids books too. So if you want to raise a generation of kids who give a crap about this rock that we're floating on in the middle of space, I recommend all of Greystone's books.
Yeah, Greystone is good, really good. Um, okay, I'm missing all of the what y'all are talking about in the chat here. There's
So many books.
so many books. I think okay, got the Finley Donovan, but the Broken Country and Wild Dark Shore are getting huge reviews. I think those are going to be really big books. Not just for March, but throughout the year. So I think that those are some good ones. And yeah, I know the self-control is going to be hard for March for everybody. So Dee's asking, is it Dee that asked the question about blurb or no blurb?
Oh, Kim.
Kim. Um, well, first of all, I didn't know there was a controversy going on about it. Is there a
Yeah. Which did
where,
you hear about that, Gabe?
what's
Yeah,
the
I think one
controversy?
some publisher decided they're not doing blurbs. I can't recall who it was. They're not going to go chase blurbs anymore. And I think the belief is that um, maybe that the people are getting blurred by their college professors or by their fellow friends, and which is the case, um, I think. But and
Yeah.
it's also like, one of the first things you in the old days before social media, the first thing you had to come in with an author was you got to have your blurbs. And who do you want us to try to get blurbs from? And do you know anybody who will blurb you? Now that there's socials, there people come in with now you have to have a platform. You can't just have a buddy who's a writer and will give you a blurb. You got to have a platform, so you got to have 700,000 at least Instagram friends, and 250,000 Facebook friends, and then you might have enough people to sell your cookbook or something, whatever it may, your self-help book, your cookbook, your romance book, etc. But I like blurbs myself just because it gives you an idea of
I do
what the
too.
book is. I think sometimes you can see the obvious. Maybe when you're in the industry, you see the more obvious blurbs. And yeah, a college prof will blurb somebody, but if somebody is willing to put their name on one of their students' books, like
It,
if I was out whoring for blurbs, I would be like, okay, would you blurb? But if it really sucks, don't blurb it because I don't want to embarrass you because you have a reputation,
right.
So I think there's a responsibility between both parties to not expect a blurb just because you wrote something, but at least be respectful of who you're giving it to, and
Well,
hopefully, you know.
Well, and I think that there's also a thing that it's like there's so many, I see it at our events. Like people that have a self-published book will come up to a, best-selling author like an Ann Pat, oh, will you blurb my book? It's like, okay, come on, people. You've got to like, you know, be respectful and to think about how many people are being asked to do that. So I could see both sides of it from the perspective of the people being asked to blurb, all of the shoot, we're asked just as booksellers to give recs on, how many books that we, can read in our lifetime or in our time. And so I can't even imagine what it's like for authors who are asked to blurb all the time. But with that said, I do think that there is when they are truly a blurb and it's something that somebody believes in, it's pretty powerful. And so, and Ann Patchett is a solid one to depend on. And now her standard line now though is she'll only blurb for the most part debut authors unless it's a friend because she wants to help debuts. So
Wow.
I thought that was an interesting take. So yeah, I'll have to read some of those articles because I think I can see both sides of it, but I like the blurb. I mean, if Colin McCann puts his name on anything, I'm probably going to read it.
And
So,
manuscript to Colin McCann.
yeah,
I
exactly.
I
Yeah,
saw him hyping his book tour and I thought of you sadly today,
I
Julie.
know, I know. He's not coming anywhere west of the Mississippi though.
Yeah.
So it's just, I mean, even when things are like changing in the book industry, when an author like Colin McCann is considered regional now, and he's going to only do like East Coast and a little bit of the South. So yeah, exactly. D. Sipsworth is one that probably people wouldn't have been picked up if Anne hadn't been on that and blurbed that. I mean, it might have gotten something, but her name carries a lot of weight. So, you know, there's there's is Stephen King reading everything that he blurbs? Maybe not. I don't know.
He barely blurbs though. I think he
Anymore. He was a blur whore for a bit there.
He was.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh
Tony
yeah.
Hill,
There
I
was.
mean, when Tony got hot, I remember I mean, so poor guy was such a solid dude, and he was like, Gabe, I'm getting so many manuscripts and so much stuff to blurb, and he did what he could, but I'm like,
Yeah.
Tony, you don't have to blurb everybody.
I know
Because you don't have
exactly.
time to read that much. But he was very diligent about like people were, and when he got really hot, it was amazing how
Yeah.
much
Everybody was asking him.
and Barbara
Yeah.
Kingsolver and Patchett, they all, I mean, they're the
They,
dream teams.
exactly. But to your point though, Gabe, having a platform that's even tough these days. It's like
Yeah.
there's a lot of memoir writers that basically won't get a deal unless they've got some kind of podcast or platform or something where it's
Yeah,
just like
the line keeps moving,
line
we're
keeps
moving
moving.
forward. Yeah, we
Yep,
keep
for
moving
sure.
forward.
And yes, Beth, I think Andrea did talk about Sipsworth. Um, and I think I just missed something that you said here. She recommends that I buy it. Yeah. So, anywho, okay. Gabe, are you next?
I can be. I lose
Okay.
track.
Me
I
too. I have lost track. I think you're next.
so I'm just like moving things around instead of sharing the button. Do this the right way. I also have my other windows from the last 2 weeks up. So I will blurb an Island of Suspects,
ah.
verbally blurb.
Verbally blurb.
Nobody
Wait,
likes
did
that
you
word.
talk about your number? I don't think you talked about your number two book.
How can you tell this? I didn't because I'm trying to, Jules, baby, again.
Yeah. All
I
right.
prefer the presentation. I'm not a salesman anymore, but
Hey, it's true. Hey, you're sharing what order you got going on over here, so that's why I was like, hey, what's number two?
because I'm a little iffy on number two, but
All right, all right.
I just like to have a backup, and in case we needed a fourth,
You got it. All
Gabe
right.
being gay, just Gabe being ready and a professional.
Okay, Gabe. Sorry, didn't mean to throw you off there.
Okay, so where was I? Before I was interrupted.
Before I
So
was
in Island
rudely interrupted.
of Road, I didn't want to be that guy. No, An Island of Suspects by Luke Banalek. So this is a guy I've been reading for a while. I like uh, since I was a little kid. I mean, that's the thing about reading is reading takes you away. I remember reading Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, and I will forever in my head be flying over the White Cliffs of Dover as I read Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, which was written by Ian Fleming, who James Bond books I read as an adult or as an older kid. But I love Chitty Chitty Bang Bang because it just took me away and it took me to places and Fantasyland and then. But I always like being abroad. I always like being like jet setting thrillers because they took you to Salzburg and then you're in Vienna and then you're in Berlin. And what Jean-Luc Banalek does, he's a German writer, so these are in translation. And it's odd because he's a German author writing about a place in France. And I think they're really quite good. He's on, my number ones, always Donna Leon, Martin Walker, and Louise Penny, Lisa Scalini, authors at least I throw in there because she's local and I love her. But these other authors are European based. Martin Walker writes about the Perigord in France, and then of course you can't beat Venice and Louise Penny writing about Toronto and Canada, which I've always wanted to visit the East Coast. So these are just I'll call them cozies. I think they're kind of considered cozies. They're the about as cozy as I read. There's always a murder, there's always a dead body, but it's not gory. But you're always promised a really good mystery and there's a lot of twists and turns that'll keep you reading. The books are really beautifully packaged. They're doing a really good job with the packaging. They've gotten better and better with their packaging, and they just take you away. There's also on MHZ, there's an Inspector Dupin series, which is like there might be like 7 or 8 episodes up for over 2 seasons. And I started watching those, and they're just beautifully filmed. And you'll read these and you'll want to go to the coast of Brittany, which is where they take place. There's one of the books had like a King Arthur element. There's all these things that go on in these little places that we don't know about. So that was a really interesting thing. There's these pink cliffs, which was another book, another pink granite beach that exists up there. Anyways, there's just a lot to read, plus a really good story. So you're going to want to go to Brittany. You want to go, definitely going to want to go. You're going to want to check out the show and you're going to see the scenery in the show and you're going to go, damn, that's really pretty. And then these are available. There's about, 6 or 7 already in paperback. So even if you don't read this book, you can start picking up. I don't think from what there is a thread. He has a girlfriend, and that friendship kind of moves forward, but it moves forward very slowly. So you don't necessarily have to read them in order. Other than that, there's not much to keep you from reading them out of order, but I like to read in order. But I think you'll enjoy them. I think they're a lot of fun. If you want something that's just great airplane trip, great beach book, great. I just need to get away for because of the madness in this world, or you got, things are going a little rough at home and you just want to get away. Pick this up. You'll be eating some wonderful food. You'll be reading about some wonderful food and a really, lovely place and a fun mystery to boot.
I love it. The chat's blowing up because everybody is loving this rec for for this game, and you had everybody with Ian Fleming writing Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, had everybody just like scratching their heads, like who knew?
Yeah, it's one of my favorite books as a kid. I actually it was one of my Scholastic Book Club books that I paid 35 cents for, and then I found at Powell's like a lot of years later for $1.
I love it.
But I love that book.
Yeah, I love it. And everybody was talking about how, Darcy, everybody, this is right up her alley for the cozy mysteries. But I love there's only a murder happening, but it's a cozy.
You know how those movies are.
You know how those
Nothing
go.
grisly. You just need a
Nothing,
body.
nothing going. We just need a body and a mystery to solve. I love it. And I can't remember who said it because it's way up on the chat and I won't be able to like get back there. But yes, when Ann Patchett, pretty much anything Ann Patchett recommends, I'm reading. So, or at least putting it on my list. Whether I get to it or not, that's another question. But She's usually a solid one on that. All right, Amanda. You got
Okay.
to, I know reading the chat's super fun today. It's
Yeah.
just like it's got me I'm totally over here just like checking out the chat.
Okay. I have a kid's book. Uh, and I hope there are folks in here who like hearing about kids' books because I'm not a expert on kids' books like some of our booksellers are, but every so often one will really capture my fancy, and this is one of them. So this is Griso, the one and only Griso. I think it's Griso. Also, this is not the finished book.
I was gonna say
It's the tiniest, daintiest galley of a book I've ever
I
received
like
in my
it.
life.
that's
So
amazing.
the actual real book is a hardcover, 7 by 11 inches. So, but this is the book. It's by Roger Mello. He wrote and illustrated it, and it's translated because this is from a publisher called Elsewhere Editions, which is an imprint of Archipelago, which specializes in translated literature, which is also now either distributed or an imprint of Random House. Anyway, so this is about a unicorn named Griso who travels the world searching for other unicorns. And he's asking all the creatures he meets if they've seen other unicorns. And what's really cool about this book is not only is it a story about a unicorn or a creature looking for more people like them or more creatures like them, but as the unicorn moves through different places, it's the pages are all in different art styles, so it's a history of art. So you'll get um very different art movements on each page.
I love his.
It's really cool.
Really
It's so
cool.
cool. It's so beautiful.
Well, he's really a cool illustrator. His
Is he? I didn't know him before, but I think all his books are so cool.
he's Brazilian, I think, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, it's really,
Roger
really
Mello.
cool
So,
art.
and I think he was nominated for the Bachelor Prize, which is, I think it's kind of like a Caldecott, but um, anyway, I just think it's such a cool. I've never really encountered a book that does so much and so in with such parsimony. I don't know. The way it moves through art movements is just so clever, and it's also such a sweet story. Like I was crying. So anyway, that's Griso, the one and only by Roger Mello, translated by Daniel Han from Elsewhere Editions.
That's
So
like the
good.
smartest thing I've seen though, is the way that galley that you have. Because mostly picture books are so hard because they're in those like, I mean, they're just so awkward.
They're not
Um,
even making those anymore. The FNGs are sort of going by the wayside
are
too.
they?
Yeah, it's all
They
more
used
digital.
they used to send them like unbound in
Yeah,
the size of a
the
kid's
picture
book,
book.
but just loose, and that was weird too. But I just think this is so it's so cute.
It's genius actually.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I love that. And okay, we lost Gabe.
Like a little chat book.
Yeah,
Sorry, I closed my
exactly.
windows and stuff.
Uh-huh.
It's cold today.
It's freezing today.
I know. I kind of like it, but
No,
it's I do. I kind of like it.
you can't wear your Birkenstocks when it's cold, dude.
I can. I've got the fur-lined ones. Yes, I can.
Fur-lined Birkenstocks?
Yes.
That
I
doesn't
weep
make
for you.
any that
I
makes
weep for
no
you.
sense.
What event did I go to, Gabe, last week when you looked at a couple weeks ago when you looked at my shoes?
Wearing a sensible sneaker that day.
I did have a
Looked very
sensible
good.
sneaker on. It was like at least my feet were covered. Oh my God, what? Oh my God, it's almost 60 degrees where Beth's at in Minnesota. I think it was in the
Oh my
50s
gosh.
today here. San Diego was colder than you. Um, oh God. Oh, what was where was I going? Oh, it was the Geraldine Brooks event. I had my sensible shoes on for that. I didn't wear my Birkenstocks and embarrass you, Gabe. All right. Darcy's telling you that there's three of the mysteries on the shelf. Love it. Okay. What else you got for us, Gabe? You got another one?
Me?
Yep, you.
I
You're up.
do.
You're up.
I do. I am up, huh? I got a kid's book because I like kids' books. And now that I'm away,
This looks like really good illustrations too.
Oh,
yeah, this is a really good little series.
yeah.
I keep saying for us, for them, for HarperCollins. But Roseanne Perry is actually a bookseller. She works up at Portland. Anyways, it'll come to me. She works at a bookstore up in Portland, and written the series. Her first book was A Wolf Called Wander. Second book was Whale in the Wild, and the third book was The Horse Called Sky, and now A Wolf Called Fire. So, which it's a young wolf. And what she does is she takes these animals, and they're middle grade fiction. So you're looking middle grade fiction, just generically. We kind of it's publishing is 8 to 12. They're the I can read books, and you have the early chapter books for like your first graders and your second graders, and then you have the middle grade fiction, and they do span kind of a spread. Some of them are a little have easier vocabulary, others are a little more difficult on the far higher end, but basically that's kind of what we look at. So this is a book for that, third to sixth grade kid, seventh grade kid. A good second grade reader will could read this if they read well, and she just gives you this nature lesson and the habits and the nature of, let's say, the wolves in this case, or the horse or the whale, and she puts them in their environment and tells a story. Basically, it's kind of reminds me of those old Disney movies that they used to make about the grizzly bear and the coyote, and you sort of follow them around, and then they have their misadventures. And that's what she does. But they're really well written, and um, they're a really nice read. It's a nice book. I think it's a really easy recommend. They're really easy to kids are really interested in animals. Any kid interested in animals, this is a really great series. And any kid who wants kind of a quiet adventure, I think will enjoy these books. There's a lot of kids out there who just like reading about nature, and there's not a whole lot out there like this. So they're not trendy, they're not sexy, they're not my brother got cancer, my brother got shot, my mom dead, my mom left, my dad shoots pool and drinks. None of that. It's just a book you can read and run through it and get a little lesson. And there's a lesson. It's just not getting beat over the head with this
Right.
one thing, but very much a conservation message, obviously. And I really like Roseanne Perry because she's a wonderful human being. So support her as much as you can. But really, I think a terrific idea. We have all the books in the store, and I'm always excited to show them to people because I think they're a little, like I said, a little different um, and fun.
And I like that because it's like in some periods, it's like you can only read some of those ones over and over and over again, and you need something new to
You
introduce
know,
the kids to. And that was the disturbing statistic at Winter Institute, how middle grade reading is the fastest declining segment of book sales in the country,
really great.
middle grade, which does not bode well for anyone. Um,
Interesting.
it's really bad.
Interesting.
And it was really interesting because after we got that statistic at Winter Institute, I can't remember who was on, I don't remember what they were on, but it was Rahm Emanuel. And basically what he was saying is, I don't want to hear about the bathrooms. I don't want to hear about the locker rooms until you figure out what's going on in the classrooms and why middle grade reading is going down. That's our biggest problem in this country right now, as far as the schools are concerned. So very interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah. So okay. Somebody was just, I can't remember who was, I think Elizabeth's on here saying it was 36 degrees where she's at in Michigan. Sorry, Elizabeth. We definitely do have it better here. Um, okay, Amanda, you got a third one for us?
I do. It's a little obscure, I suppose, because it's the locality of the book is not ours, but it's a bird book, and I think there are other bird weirdos in the chat. So I just received a copy of this, and it's such a pretty book. It's Enchantment by Birds, a history of Australian bird watching.
Ooh, some weird birds.
That's
Weird birds.
awesome, though. I love that
Everything's weird
cover.
in Australia.
Yeah.
I
So
love that cover.
the stories of 22 different Australian birds. Um, and it's just a beautiful little bird book. It has color plates in the center, uh, if you're into that, which I think, you know, bird book is great to look at. And yeah, I haven't gotten too deep into it yet, but it's lovely. I mean, whenever you've got books about birds that are sort of a survey and then about bird watching in general, I think I don't know about you, but I feel like more and more people are picking up bird watching. There was
We just had another Amy Tan event over the weekend.
like Amy Tan's book has been such a blockbuster, and it's about how she decided to start bird watching during the pandemic, and
Just in her backyard, just like go in
yeah,
her backyard and just,
and
although
she
she
did
does
her
live
own
on the edge of a city.
illustrations, and they're beautiful. Like,
Yeah.
but my dad has suddenly discovered bird watching in his semi-retirement, and never seemed interested before. My sister got him a little camera, and he keeps getting bags of bird feed, and my mom's getting annoyed at all the seeds everywhere, and it's pretty great. So anyway, if you want another bird book
Is he bagging
about
any birds?
birds, huh?
Is he bagging any birds with this camera?
Nah, he's not that into it, but um yeah, so if you want a book about birds that are nowhere near where we are, but you still want to know about more birds, Enchantment by Birds by Russell McGregor.
I love it. All right, Gabe, you want to do a fourth or you want to wrap it up and you have a fourth
I
one you
mean,
want
I
to talk
could do
about?
a fourth. It's kind of interesting. My
Okay.
fourth book's kind of interesting.
All right.
I don't know if I'm that well versed on it, but in once upon a time in 1664, the Dutch had settled
Wait,
Manhattan.
are you screen sharing or no?
No, I'm you're talking to my whatchamacallit. I do that all the time.
Oh, I didn't want to interrupt you. I was a little afraid. I was a little PTSD about interrupting you again.
No, no, yeah, I know. I know, I'm kind of a jerk. I got a
No, you're
curve,
not.
man. I got a curve, man. You know that. You know how Gabe is.
I know how
I don't
Gabe
want
is.
people to talk like that.
I was
I'm
a
just
little
Gabe.
PTSD about interrupting you, but I thought, well, there's nothing on the screen, so.
No, no. If I'm looking really incredibly stupid, please, by all means, stop. I
All
Russell
right,
only
there
have,
we go.
Morrow. Haven't heard about him for
This
a
looks really
while.
good.
I'm a big fan of history, and I like these micro histories. I mean, there's so many things that we don't know, and I mean, just take
Right.
World War II every day. There's like a new chapter that we discover, and they publish a book. But this is all about Manhattan and the early days of Manhattan, and the Dutch, um, who were an intrepid people for sure. They had created a huge economy. They took over England, governing England, etc. But they had come west, and they had settled in Manhattan. And one day, Charles II decided, um, that's our neck of the woods, and we should. They kind of thought they saw what they could possibly have with a settlement up that way, with the two rivers coming and the ocean. Um, and they decided they were going to invade Manhattan and take it away from the Dutch. And the interesting thing is when the Richard Nicol is the guy who led the flotilla, uh, met with Peter Stuyvesant, who I'd never read really anything about Stuyvesant particularly as detailed as this. So that's kind of cool in and of itself. I think things began to change in his mind. So it's a book that's got some twists and turns as well. It's not as cut and dry a history as you would think. I was just like, you think a lot about something, and then there's these little things. So if you're a history reader, I don't know why I like I mean, I don't know. I'm an Anglophile, I'm a Francophile, I'm an Italophile, and I'm a bit of a New Yorkophile, I guess, because I love stories set in New York. I love the New York museums. I love New York. And I read a lot of stuff set in New York, novels and nonfiction, etc. So I'm always excited to see something new. And this takes me back. The last old thing I read around New York was The Pirate's Wife, which is the book on what's his name? Not Blackbeard's wife, but Captain Kidd's wife,
Mhm.
which I couldn't put down. I still think, and I keep selling in paperback. I keep putting it in people's hands, and people keep finding it. So
Yep.
one of the more fun things I've read. So not quite that, but really a lot of you'll it's eye opening, and for people who like these micro histories, I think you definitely will. I think we have an audience that'll come to that. I'm not sure if Mallory ordered it. But I saw it and I've looked at it and
Well,
hopefully she will.
the beauty of this is that, and the beauty of Warwick's is you can always request it and we can get it in for you. So that's the thing. So it's even if it might not be on the shelves, we can get it to you. So that's the beauty of it. Hard to order everything.
It is hard to order.
Um, hard to order everything, but also knowing that there's interest from the booksellers, she'll put that on the store. So sounds really interesting. But yeah, I do like those little like super old things that it's just like, what the heck was going on? And imagining. So, all right, I got a couple things that are happening, but they're not happening for a while. So this is where the pre-order comes in. So put these on a pre-order and then they'll just show up at your door and you'll be happy that you have them. So this one is Satisfaction Cafe by Kathy Wang, and I had the chance to sit next to her at a dinner. In at Winter Institute, and I haven't read it yet, but she was lovely, and it sounds like it's going to be a really fun book. It's called Vivid Comic, and Intensely Moving. Basically, it's about a woman who marries an older gentleman and becomes his fourth wife. And she decides to open up this Satisfaction Cafe, where it's a place where she can visit, where people can come and visit for a bit of conversation, be heard, understood. Sounds like a little bit like our When the Coffee Gets Cold, maybe, but maybe not as philosophical, but more fun and just like, chatting around. So look for that one. I think it's going to be a fun one. I'm in the middle of this and absolutely loving it. When you were talking about history and art history, Amanda, this is by Thomas Schlesser. It's already an international, but this is a Europa
Ah,
edition. So
Europa.
you know
That
how
is it.
we love I love everything Europa does pretty much. Anne Barrest has a new book coming out in May called Gabrielle. She had written the postcard, but this is already an international bestseller. Kind of like Freshwater for Flowers was an international bestseller before we got it. But this one's all about okay, so this happens in the first like pages, so I'm not giving anything away. 10, 11-year-old girl is sitting there and everything goes dark. So she goes blind.
Oh,
She was blind for like an hour and then her sight comes back. So her grandfather decide they don't know why this is happening. So the family wants her parents want to send her to a psychiatrist once a week to kind of like figure out what's happening. But the grandfather usurps that and says, "Oh, I'll take her to the psychiatrist." But instead, every week he picks her up on Wednesday and takes her to the museum to look at different pieces of art. So they look at one piece of art every day and really study it. So Thomas is an art historian. So you get these glimpses into these famous and not so famous pieces of art from an art historian. And then there's other stories like what the family's going through. So there's other threads that are going through what her schoolmates are going through. Um, oh my God, it's so you'll go down you will definitely go down Google rabbit holes pulling up these paintings and trying to see what he's talking about. So good, but unfortunately, it's not out till August. Definitely put it on your to be ordered list or pre-order list. It's going to be, I think it's going to be a big sensation. It's going to be a big Europa book, kind of like Freshwater for Flowers was. It's very good. So, loved it, loving it. I think that's it. Anything else we got to talk about? If you're, like I said, look at our virtual events. We got Nanda Reddy tomorrow night. We have the author Allison Epstein, Fagin the Thief is on Wednesday at 4. So if you want some virtual events to watch, or the Nathaniel Ian, what's his name? Nathaniel
Miller.
Ian Miller, will be next week. So have some fun. But there's another virtual event next week too. I can't think. Oh, Gina. Gina's next week. So if you're in San Diego, come see us because we got lots of stuff going on at the store. But also check us out virtually. So there we have it. Gabe, good seeing you. I may not see you tomorrow. Well, I don't think I'll see you tomorrow because I'm not coming until after virtual. So,
I'm gonna go to a Sam Heughan event in San Diego. The guy from what's his last name? Hughlin, the guy from Outlander.
oh,
He's got a
Okay.
liquor thing, and Amanda got hip to it, and
sweet,
so, anyways, yeah, Amanda's coming down tonight, and then we're gonna head over tomorrow. It's a noon event somewhere. I have no idea, but
sweet. Sounds fun.
should be fun. Yeah,
All right. I love it.
pushing his
All
liquor,
right.
yeah,
Hey,
Scotch.
anything with Scotch and Scottish men, it's got to be a good thing. I kind of love that. Amanda, thanks. And
Oh, sure.
everybody,
Thanks everyone for all your recommendations.
I know good stuff going on
Yes,
in
I
the
got some good
chat.
stuff on the chat today.
It
Uh-huh.
was a good chat. Loving it. All right, everybody, have a good week of reading. See you
Bye,
next week.
everybody.